There's this scene in the film Nostalgia for the Light, filmed in the Atacama deserts of northern Chile, where Violetta's desperation to find her brother makes her say this.
Que ojalá los telescopios no miraran solo al cielo, sino que pudieran traspasar la tierra para poderlos ubicar.
Hearing this obviously is heartbreaking, but after listening to her concern, I was left questioning the limitations in science. Well, questions such as what we can find the answers to and what we can't. Well, you see, we've been able to look up to the sky and learn about it in great detail in the past 500 years after the invention of the telescope, starting with Galileo. But the weird thing is, we probably know more about the surface of the moon, maybe even Mars, than we know what even is in the ocean bed. Okay, think about it this way. Imagine you're at the beach and the ocean's in front of you. The sun is set and you're stood in the sand after dusk. You look up and you see the moon, maybe even the planets, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, and a bunch of the early stars in the night sky. And you look down. The ocean's noisy, but you can't see anything underneath. Well, the difference is quite obvious. A lot of information from the stars come to us very conveniently, and all we have to do is collect it and analyze it. The depth of the ocean does not transmit as much as information to the surface, and the only way to study what's underneath is to go down there and look for it. And our limited resource to deal with nature below water inhibits us from being able to go and see what's down there. We are and always have been limited to what we have been capable to explore. For example, thanks to the BBC team and their Blue Planet series, we know that there are creatures about 1 kilometer deep in the ocean that produce dazzling display of light. They use it to attract mates or to repel predators, even hunt prey. With the knowledge from the expedition down there, it is suggested that the language of light is most likely the commonest form of communication. If we turn our head upwards, we also got to record the first ever image of the black hole. The shadow cast by the M87 black hole was about 40 microarc seconds wide when viewed from the Earth, which is very, very tiny. To give it a comparison, that shadow casted by M87 black hole is about 50 millionths times smaller than that of the Moon. Well, it's roughly speaking the resolution of being able to see a donut on the Moon's surface. So how does Nostalgia for the Light study the idea of limitations and finding answers? First, we need to understand that it's a common human nature to get upset with limitations. I sympathize with Violetta, because she has obviously been hurt and frustrated for not being able to find her answers. To give Violetta's story a context, a lot of people disappeared during the Pinochet era, and their loved ones had no clue about how they disappeared or where they are.
These women are the vanguard of a group known as the Families of the Disappeared. Mariana Guzman's husband was arrested in May last year by the secret police. He disappeared. The parents of Maria Araya were also arrested last year. They too disappeared. Maria Pavlos's husband was arrested last year before Christmas. Likewise disappeared.
And because of that, women like Violetta still live in a limbo, scouring the deserts for her brother, along with other women. But even after searching for countless days, they return back with high hopes for the next day, determined to find an answer. Well, when you come to think of it, finding answers is what we as humans are good at. It is the core of our essential being as conscious species. There are scientists in the deserts that look up to the stars, who are also finding answers to our past, similar to the women that are scouring the deserts in the scorching heat and dryness. They look at the stars and try to explain questions like what's happening in the vast cosmos, and even importantly, who are we? What are we made of? One of the most prominent cosmologists of the 20th century, Carl Sagan, once said, "We are made up of star stuff." It's the same bright things that we observe in the sky are what we are indeed made up of. Our calcium in the bones, our carbon in the cells, the iron in the blood, all of it. We know that because we see their signatures in the stars, the elements. All 92 that we know of have a unique signature, and they are measured using absorption spectrums.
We also know that everything beyond Earth, everything we can see in the universe, is made of those same 92 elements.
If you take a look at the periodic table, there are a lot more than 92. So what's going on with that? Well, those are all man-made elements. We created them for different uses. We make things up and use that to find answers to other questions. We, as humans, would rather have questions that can't be answered, and I think we thrive on that. Hidden in the different narratives of the film was the reason as to why we look for answers, why we chase the past. Patricio Guzmán tried to show two different sets of people who are motivated to find answers in their own way to their own question. But they have one thing in common. They share the same dirt in their shoes. He tried to show a deep connection between these two wanderers, and I think he succeeded.